Graham K. I appreciate you doing this. I really do. Where are you at right now, by the way? You up East Coast?
I'm in Brooklyn.
You are in Brooklyn. You've been there for a while now, right?
Yeah, I've been here since 2017,
2017.
and I
Wow.
lived here. Yeah, I lived here for a while before that also. So,
Well, when did I
like,
know?
I like went to LA for a bit. I was in
Yeah.
Toronto for a bit, and then I was in
Oh,
Brooklyn before that. I mean, I move around a lot,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm here.
There you go. Well, I see. I knew you were from Canada. I knew you moved to Brooklyn. I didn't know you went to LA. When did LA come into the picture?
2015, 2017.
Hmm.
Tried that out. It
Yeah.
was fun. I didn't like the city,
Yeah.
but the comedy was the scene, a good scene
Right.
over
It's
there.
brewing.
Nice
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Good people.
Yeah.
Now you're fresh off of Fallon. What was that like a few weeks back? Was that had to be pretty fun?
Yeah, it was very stressful because um, I I was on the road. I was in like Atlanta or Chattanooga or I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. And I got a text and it was like from the booker because I was sort of in line to do it or whatever.
Mm. Oh wow.
And the
Yeah.
booker was like, "Hey, um, we had a fallout. Like Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane were supposed to be on, like two
Wow.
rappers, and but Pooh Shiesty shot two people, so we need a comedian to replace them on
Wow.
Monday. Can you do it?" And I was
Oh
like,
wow.
I mean, I had my set approved, but there was a couple lines I needed to tweak, for
Backup plan.
well, no, not for a backup plan because I wasn't allowed to say them on air because
Mm.
they wouldn't want me to say like Christ or and a couple words they
Really?
weren't happy with. So yeah, it's weird. But anyway, so whatever. It's not their fault.
Right.
It's
Right.
just
Right.
this
Yeah.
like you have to follow these weird
Mm.
rules. And so anyway, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare or to lead up or to worry
Mm-hmm.
about it. I already knew my set, so I just like I landed on Sunday, ran my set like a bunch of times at clubs in New York, woke up, figured out what I was gonna wear, and then went to the Tonight Show and taped it.
Wow.
And I like scrambled to get my girlfriend. She's vaccinated, but had to get her like a COVID test in like 15 hours, like a
Wow. That's
non-rapid
crazy.
COVID test. So, um, and then those are like $500 if you want to get them right away. But I didn't want to pay $500,
Are you
so we
kidding
just
me?
like
That's
went to like
crazy,
we,
man.
yeah, so we went to like three different places, like that run by the city that are
Mm-hmm.
free, and hoping that we would get the results. One of those would be faster than the other, and we would
Right.
get
Right.
them before the deadline the next day, so I wouldn't have to sit there alone in the green room. I
Sure.
could have like
Yeah.
my girlfriend there. Yeah, so it was pretty rad. I mean, he's like a super nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Fallon like came to my dressing room and stuff. I've only ever done Colbert, and you don't even get to meet him.
Really?
I'm very appreciative to like be on Colbert, and that was like
Was that seven
awesome.
years ago? 6, 7 years ago, or something like that?
No, that was like three, two,
Three?
two and a
Two?
half, 2.5 years ago.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, Colbert's like, I mean, awesome, but the way they shoot it there, for whatever reason, is they do all the comedians at once in front of a live audience,
Uh huh.
and then they edit them in over like the next 2 months,
Oh
3 months,
wow. That's weird.
8 months. So you could film and then not be on for like half a year,
Oh wow. They
and they
tape
just
so far in advance. That's crazy.
the comedians, yeah, and then they plop them in.
Oh yeah.
And
That's a little different.
so you don't get to meet Colbert, which would be cool, but
Right.
friggin' Fallon comes into your dressing room before and he's like, "Hey man, how you doing? We're happy to have you, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me know if you're in." You're like, "All
That's
right,
awesome.
yeah, dude." And he like took selfies and stuff. He's a good guy. I'm on
Oh, that.
board. I'm on board with Fallon now. I was never a Fallon hater. I think he's like obviously supremely talented,
Sure.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
some
Yeah.
comments be like he laughs too much or whatever. I'm like, I don't know, man. He keeps it light.
I think
I'm
it's
on
hard to
board.
do what he does.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you have to, because you can't just, I don't know, you have to fill that gap. You
Mhm.
have to do, I mean, you have to be exciting and enticing. I mean, yeah, sometimes it seems a little bit over the top. Um, but I mean, it's a job. You got to do what you got to do.
You got to keep it going.
Right.
And he's like he's obviously doing a good job. People like him.
Yeah.
Like got good ratings and stuff. So it's
Sure.
like,
It's like, I don't know
what do you want?
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
he's I'm on board.
Yeah. Now you've been doing this comedy thing for a while now. How many years you been in it?
Oh man, uh, 2007. So that's
2007.
14
Wow.
years. Yeah,
Wow, that's crazy. What
I'm an
was
old I'm
before
an old head
comedy?
now.
Yeah.
Before comedy, I waited tables,
Painted houses.
painted. I did paint a couple houses, some wrong ones.
Yeah, right, right.
I worked for the Canadian government. I had like a million jobs. I worked for the Canadian government.
Wow, what'd you do
Uh,
there?
I only worked there for 1 year, and I got a paid internship to work in Budapest, Hungary,
Wow.
shipping things overseas, like shipping things into Iraq
Holy cow.
at the height of the war,
Hmm.
and like not weapons, but like whatever an army base would need, like
Hmm.
nails, comic books,
I
wood,
guess they would need that. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, like whatever children, 18-year-old children want.
Sure.
Um, and so, uh, yeah, I did that for a year, and I wasn't very good at it, didn't like it, and
Hmm.
wanted to do comedy, and then moved back in with my parents. And when
Was
I
that
was like,
tough?
yeah, it's always tough to be like 23, 24,
I'm
moving.
back.
Yeah, and like I did that for like a year and like about a year,
Hmm.
and I like delivered sandwiches, and I worked at and I yeah,
Wow.
and then I moved to New York.
Really? So
Yeah,
was New York, was the move there strictly for comedy, or was it just
yeah,
I want to start new? So it was strictly for comedy.
strictly
Uh,
for comedy,
wow, that's crazy. So what, I
and
mean,
also
how,
adventure. Just saying,
yeah,
like
sure, a little
I
bit
just wanted
different.
to go to New York because I felt like at that point it was late for me to start comedy. I was already like
Mm,
25. I'd only done like a few open mics in
mm,
Ottawa. And so I felt like a summer, I wanted to just go for the summer, and I felt like a
sure.
summer in New York would be
Would be a good test.
a good test. And also I could play some catch up.
Mm.
I could get so many sets that it would like equal out to maybe 2 years in Ottawa. So I could like, I don't know. I don't know.
Not,
That was my weird
yeah,
theory.
not that much of a scene back home.
There's a decent, there was a, not, there was a really, there was two really good clubs
Hmm.
in Ottawa, and but not a lot of independent scenes, not a lot of time, like not a lot of ways to get up. You could
Mm.
get up like twice a month.
More shows than mics.
There's no mics. There was
Mm.
no mics back. There is
Oh,
now.
that's tough.
There
Yeah.
is now, but there was no mics back then. I mean, I
Wow.
suppose you could go to like a music open mic and annoy everybody,
Right.
but I just it just didn't seem like it was enough.
Sure.
So I probably should have just moved to Toronto, and
There's a
because
bigger scene there. More mics.
yeah, it's a much bigger city.
Hmm.
It's like the size of Chicago, and so
Hmm.
you can get up easily. You can
Every
get up
night.
like 3 times a night if you
Oh,
want.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's wild though. I mean, how do they expect to have any comedy without any mics? I mean, it's
Yeah, there's
mainly
no
them
feeder
people
system.
passing through.
Well, I think just in the 80s, it was like not as many comics.
Mm,
And so the system was, if there's only 10 to 20 people doing it in the city,
hmm.
you didn't need any like mics.
Right, right.
So, and the clubs they wouldn't book you if you performed elsewhere because they thought that was competition in these,
Right.
that was like very common in a lot of smaller markets.
Hmm.
And then
Interesting.
when I started doing comedy, it was like the culture was changing, and there was just way more people doing comedy. So that system didn't work anymore.
Mm.
You needed a feeder system. You needed
You
bar
needed a
shows.
pool
And
of,
like,
of comics.
yeah. And so the people who ran clubs, it took them a while to catch up because
Hmm.
they were like, oh, why would I pay you when someone could see you for free yesterday at a bar? That's like,
Right.
that's not how it works. I mean, I'm like working on stuff. I'm like
Right.
literally learning the G minor on my guitar. And then when I go to you, I do all the chords I already know,
Exactly.
so
It's backwards.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So, no, did you do any college? I mean, was
Oh, I went,
college
yeah, I went to college. I went to Dalhousie University in
Canada?
Halifax. Yeah, in Halifax,
Oh,
Nova
wow. What?
Scotia.
Oh, wow.
Dal Tigers. Go Tigers.
Goes- What'd you major in?
History.
History. Wow.
Yeah.
History
Yeah.
now comedy, stand-up comedy, full-time comedy now, right?
Yeah, 8 years.
Wow, that's crazy.
No day job.
I didn't realize the grind that it really is. I talked to Nick Hoff, and he told me, I mean, the highest paid, spots. I mean, $50 for 10 minutes. I mean, just even the top premier clubs in the country. I mean, for a set is $50. I mean, it is a
Well,
grind.
well, it depends how long you're doing, right?
Right.
So if you're like doing a spot in the city, like a
Hmm.
10, 15 minute spot in the city, that's 25, $50.
God, it's a grind.
75 on the weekend. And the goal being you do like three a night.
Hmm.
And that's not money that you live off of. That's
Sure.
like your spending money. That's like your
Right.
like, you know,
Hmm.
um, but how you make money is going on the road.
Hmm.
So when you're going on the road, when you're doing headline clubs, when you're headlining, um, you make like 1,500 a weekend,
Hmm.
and so it's okay. You can do that, and then you can do spots in the city, and then you can do corporate one-nighters, which are way more money but harder.
Yeah, tough.
But you do comedy corporation, like for whatever, and so you make like you can make like 2 grand a night doing that,
It's crazy.
and then you do like the odd acting gig, then you do like a podcast, and you get like
Voiceovers.
yeah, voice, but you like a podcast, you get people on your Patreon, and then maybe you sell some ads, and then you release some albums, and then you
Right.
get royalty payments from the albums being played on SiriusXM Radio, and like it's a real, like back in the 80s and 90s,
Hmm.
you could just do the clubs, and they were paying 1,500 back then. They have not
Wow.
increased how much they pay.
So that that
So
is that has changed. There has not been a spike.
no, with inflation, you could make a decent living doing that back then, but these
Hmm.
days there's so many comics, and it's like,
There's more and more and more.
yeah, you gotta diversify your income. You have
Hmm.
to have like 4 things pulling together, like
Yeah.
coming in, because then one's down, one's high, and yeah, so it's like that's how I do it. I do the odd like cruise ship, which it's whatever.
Those got to be tough because after so many days, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone on there has seen it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a lot of material, and um, I do ships that have like, um, and I don't do them that often. I
Hmm.
just don't want to. I don't want to get stuck there
Yeah.
because it forces you to do a style of comedy that's not good.
Right.
But also, it's like the money is so good, and it's like January here, and then I'm like in a beach in the Caribbean with all expenses paid. And it's like, and they have comedy clubs built on the ship, so it's not
Really?
like, yeah, so it's
I've
not,
never
it's like,
been on a ship. Wow, that's
yeah,
crazy.
I hadn't either before I did that. So it's like, it's basically like doing like a Midwest club for like, nice people, but they're not, the material you do is not your favorite jokes,
Sure.
but um yeah, but the money's good. So anyway, like, all this to say that there's like little tiny ways to
Bring
grind
in
out
revenue. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
middle class
Yeah.
living. Um, so
Wow.
the goal is to like, what everybody wants to do is become a draw. Because when you're a draw, meaning like you have actual fans,
Sure. More opportunities arrive.
Yeah,
You're gonna sell more drinks at a club. You're gonna bring in more.
well, you flip the ticket. You flip the revenues. Instead of, you don't need the club to provide the audience. The club needs you.
You.
The club books you, and then they know they're going to sell out. So
Right.
then you do like a door deal, and then you make way more money. So
wow, that's crazy. Now, when what did the folks do back home? You an only sibling? You got anybody
I have one
else?
brother with autism.
Oh yeah, you do. You're right. You do. You talked about that in Just for Laughs special.
Yeah.
I do recall that. What was that? I mean, how trying was that? I mean, it's hard. I mean, I have friends who have siblings with that too. I mean, it's just it's so hard when you know. I don't know how to describe it. Where
You say
it's just
you have a sibling.
I have
there?
I have friends with siblings who have. It's a trying experience, right? I mean, so I take it you're very
Well, you don't know any
protective,
better.
right?
You are, yeah, you're protective,
You don't
yeah,
know
but
any better,
you don't know any better, so you just grow up.
right?
That's your life. So you don't, you know.
That's
I
what
did,
you
like
know.
yeah,
That's all you know.
and I didn't care. I liked it. My brother's great.
Yeah,
It's just, you know, but when you get
protective.
older, you realize like, oh yeah, I'm doing like a lot of work. I'm
Were you
doing like
very protective?
and I have no one to, you know, I can't share stuff.
Sure.
Like I saw my friends with like other brothers or sisters, and they're like sharing their like,
That's the toughest part.
yeah. But we share other stuff, and I'm like really close with him.
That's
Like
awesome. Yeah.
he sends me pictures of his toys on email and stuff. And we
That's
call
awesome.
and we talk like we pretend we're Bert and Ernie on the phone.
No, that's great.
It's pretty, you know, keeps it light,
Keeps you grounded.
keeps you grounded. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So what did your folks do? What did the mom and dad do for work?
My mom she was like an executive at the Canadian Post Office.
Oh, wow.
And my dad he had like a real dad job. You know, those like jobs where you ask your dad and he's like, blah, 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 synergy.
Sure, I
And
guess.
you're like,
all right, yeah.
and then like 6 months later, you're like, Dad, what do you do? And then he's like, well, and you're like, So my dad, as far as I could understand,
Does stuff.
was a computer nerd pimp. He pimped out computer nerds, like IT nerds, to corporations and companies that needed specialists.
Oh, wow.
So my dad didn't own the company or anything like that. He was just like
He was an asset to it.
an administrator at the company. He was like a guy who like, you'd
Did
call
small
the company. My dad
projects.
would answer and be like, yeah, oh, we got a guy for that. Yeah. Yeah, here's how much it's gonna cost you,
Right.
to hire this guy. And then I guess my dad's company would get a cut. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
You're bored.
He's a mystery.
It's the whole thing is boring.
Yeah.
It was really fun. We were like we were middle class growing up, and then by the time sorry, I'm not peeing. This is like coffee.
No, yeah, I mean that'd be an interesting way to do it. It's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
We were like, we had a Ford Windstar van.
There you go.
Felt interior.
Really real 80s, 70s vibe.
Yeah, really absorbed all of the hockey bag smell. Kept it in there, locked it in.
So you did. That's right. You were part of the Canadian culture there. You did get into hockey. You made it pretty far though, because I remember I was listening to you on Nateland. You ended up going the distance with it. You played pretty much up until as far as you could play without going that next step. Yeah, it was a big part of your life.
It was a big part of my identity when I was a kid.
Did you feel pressured because you were from Canada, like you had to do this?
Well, I suppose if I like lived in America with my parents, but we had a Canadian heritage, and like you have to do it. But when you live in Canada, it's not like
it's all you know.
It's not like an arranged marriage or something. It's not like I have to do it.
Yeah,
it's like there were other sports, but I just wanted to. My parents wanted me to be a skier, and I just was like, I don't know. I like the hockey thing, and they were kind of bummed when I chose hockey, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. Yeah.
That's great. So you get to New York for context purpose, 2007. You said at that time. I mean, what's that scene like? Who are the guys? I mean, who are the guys that are still hanging around in doing this stuff? I know Nate was one of them. But what was that scene like when you arrived there? As far as uh, was it hot at that time? Was it
Yeah,
not as good
it was
as it is now? What was it like?
that's a really good like this is when 2017
2007. You said,
2007 yeah
yeah.
2007 in New York was a really cool time because it was a big changeover. There was
Mm.
like a big new generation of comics coming out. There was like all, like the Dave Attell's, the like Colin
Oh wow.
Quinn,
Yeah.
like that era was like there was like the kind of ending, and
Sound
it
that way out. Yeah.
they're still, I mean, so funny and so great.
Oh,
Dave
they're
Attell is
great.
still maybe the best comic alive, but
Arguably, yeah.
yeah, but the like yeah, Dan Soder, Nate Bargatze were like literally, pardon me, just starting out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Giannis Papas, Chris Stefano,
Mm-hmm.
Mark Norman, Joe List, Sam Morrell,
Wow, that's a scene, man.
Dan St. Germain, Mike Lawrence, who's a big TV writer right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, like a lot of Jacqueline Novak, who's got that huge thing, Get on
Oh
Your
wow, yeah,
Knees.
yeah.
Like a lot of, yeah, it was exciting. You could kind of tell.
Mm-hmm.
And Big J Okerson, like all those
Oh
guys,
wow, yeah.
like, so I was newer than a lot of those guys, and it was just fun to get swept up in that and be there
Sure.
and hang out and
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you
that's
know.
great. So how does I mean, even the cost of living in New York has always just been just ridiculous. But as a comic, I mean, moving from a different place to New York, and not even really having as much experience, in that process of that move to then starting there. I mean, how did you survive there? I mean, did you have something else to pull in some
Oh
sort
yeah,
of revenue?
I worked at a restaurant. I worked
Oh, so you're working there.
Monday double, Sunday double, Monday double, Tuesday
Mm-hmm.
double, and maybe one other lunch floating around.
Mm-hmm.
So I could do comedy um, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Wow.
and
That.
not worry about that. So and I would like I also was like I do stuff like work a double, like go to the comedy club,
Mm-hmm.
and then bark for 2 hours, which means hand out comedy tickets on the street, like annoy
Mm-hmm.
people on the corner, trying to get them into the club. Do that for 2 hours
Mm-hmm.
for a 5 minute set after working a
Wow.
double. I would do that all the time.
Just for 5 minutes? That's crazy.
Yeah. You get free drinks and whatever. You weren't supposed to, but I mean, it also was like a great hang. I
Yeah.
remember, yeah, I would do that with like Andrew Schultz. I don't know if you know
Oh,
him.
well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we used to sit on the corner together, and then uh, yeah. So I mean, I remember when I first moved there, I made because I was trying to do as little work as possible
Right.
and as much comedy as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and so I remember at one point I was making $1,200 a month,
Wow. That's
and
crazy.
my rent was $800.
Wow.
So, but eventually, that was only for like 6 to 8 months.
Uh-huh.
Eventually, I was able to move in with a bunch of friends in a really rough neighborhood, and I was only paying $400.
That's not bad in New
It
York.
depends how many. That's great anywhere.
Yeah, that's cheap.
In case, like sometimes a girlfriend would move out, like someone's girlfriend would move out, and it would go up to like 500.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like
Still,
whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
that's next to
And
nothing.
then Metro, like a month Metro card was like $115. Cell phone was like 65, $70.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, then just
Wow.
groceries were like I think for a month I could do $150.
So it's like a month
And
to month. It was close each month.
yeah, well for 500, and then it would be like Yeah, no, and then I would have like literally, no, not really. I would have
Huh?
like $500 left
Oh, that's
over from
plenty.
1,200 to like party, like
Yeah, I
400,
mean, that's
500.
plenty.
I was like, this is enough,
Right.
So
Oh, that's
people
great.
were like, you must really struggled. I was like, my friend at the time was a banker. I knew this one guy who wasn't a comic, and he worked for Goldman Sachs in
Oh,
Manhattan,
wow. There you
and
go.
he was like, I think he was making like at least 100K back then, and we were like
Wow.
26. And he was like, yo, he's like, I don't understand. We have the same amount of fun, and I make so much more money than you. I was like, yeah, man, I order PBRs, you're ordering cocktails,
Yeah.
but I'm
Th-
getting there,
Yeah. You don't got to live beyond the means.
No.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's when it starts to get dangerous. So when did you feel you had enough material to get out there on the road, leave the city? Was that a trying process for you and decision to finally get the courage to hit the road?
I mean, what happened was I moved back to Canada because I I wasn't I didn't have the proper work documentation in
Mm.
America.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
So I had to sort of like stop all my momentum and then went to Canada, and it ended up being a really good thing
Mm-hmm.
because I had all this. I was like, 4.5 years in a pressure cooker in New York
Right.
with like so many amazing comics who were like turned out to be famous.
Mm-hmm.
And when when you like I always say when I play pickup basketball with like ex college players or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a, a decent basketball player. I'm not as good as them, but I level up. When I play with like plugs or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that good. So when I like just going to just whatever you do in your life, if you are surrounded by people that are really good,
Mm-hmm.
you become good.
You draw from
So
that.
you draw from that. We
Yeah.
all fed off each other. And then I went to Canada, and I was like forged in fire, and yeah. So I was able to rise fairly quickly in the Canadian system and start
Mm-hmm.
nationally touring. I remember
Wow.
I was like, I got a job waiting tables. I worked Sunday, Monday, and that was it. And I was just like touring around, and I got like a commercial. I think the commercial
Oh, there you go.
paid
Yeah.
me like 10, 12 grand, something like that.
Wow.
And I had this like Western tour, and I was like looking at my finances. I was like, oh my God, I
I
can
could do this.
quit my day job. I've
That's
been
awesome.
I've been trying to do it for so long. I thought about it every day. Like waiting tables. I don't know if you ever waited tables,
Oh
but
yeah, I've done a bunch of that stuff in high school. I had plenty of them.
right, right. I did that, up until I was 30, and it
Right.
really waiting tables for me hurt my confidence in myself every day. Like I hated it. It really bummed me
You
out.
just felt like you could never be good enough, and that's why you were there? Is
I
that because
just
I
sucked
had
at
that same
it.
thought process for
Yeah,
me?
well, not that. I was bad at it, and people would be mean to me, and I'd have to like be okay,
You
and it
just
just
have to take it.
you
The
just have to
customer's
take
always
it.
right.
Yeah, and I needed a job, so I would just take L's and just take it on the chin every day.
Hmm.
And I was like, I want to quit. And then I looked at my finances that one day, and I was like, oh my God, I can finally quit. I went on this like 2 week tour.
Hmm.
Um, and I only worked 2 days a week, so I only had to cover 4 shifts.
Oh wow.
And I remember when I came back, I was like, I was like,
I just won. I won
I
the
had
Super
like,
Bowl.
yeah, I had years of like work, like built up,
Hmm.
like like anger, and I was gonna come in and be like, fuck you,
Right.
you're cool, and then um, I walked in and they had replaced they had new management and replaced the entire staff, and no one knew who I was.
Oh, that's right. You talked about that in one of the specials. I think you did.
Yeah, maybe in a podcast, but
Yeah,
like
maybe
not, yeah, but yeah. So it's like,
Nate Land. That's what it was. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
crazy.
It was like it was pretty funny, pretty
Yeah.
typical for me.
When now you're on the road and you're doing the thing. What has been the toughest city? What's been the toughest draw for you? I know Sam Morril, he can't stand Naples for you, Graham. Well, what are the cities that just tend to be, you just can't seem to get them going?
Um, where, um, yeah, I mean, I don't have a place that I like really dislike.
Right.
I think that I just used to do this one club in Vancouver Island
Oh wow.
and in Canada, and
Mm-hmm.
it was obviously, and it was like they were so they you know, you're just underpaid.
Mm-hmm.
The crowds are like super drunk,
Yeah.
and the owners are pretty arrogant,
Oh, that's not a fun spot.
and it's like it just sucks to like travel someplace, go through all that effort,
Not feel welcomed.
and not feel welcome, and then the crowd sucks, and it's like bitch, I took 2 planes to get here,
Right.
you
But you
know?
gotta get paid, so you gotta do the show, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, people are like, man, that seems like a grind. All the stuff you do. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I got time during the day, and it's better than working as a waiter. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
and I've been yeah, and I can't work at an office. I tried that. I was really bad
That's
at
what
it.
I
I
do.
hate
It's
yeah
I can't. I mean, now
yeah
that we're from home, like we worked in the office, and then the pandemic came, and they're like, we could save so much money. Let's just
yeah
permanently stay home. And I'm like, no, don't do this, because like I never liked the people like in the office,
uh-huh
but you all like the banter, right? You like
yeah
that sound that breaks up the day. Now it's
mm-hmm
just you and your thoughts staring at a
and
screen, and it's like, what can, like, oh, you just built up frustration and anger, and it's trying to escape that. It's hard. Like, now that
oh
everything's back
man,
open, it's
where are
uh,
you
uh
located?
sh- suburbs of Chicago,
Oh
but
cool.
it's like now that everything's back open, it's like there was this comfort knowing that nobody else was doing anything, right at the start of it. It's like
Yeah,
there was
not
no,
missing out.
yeah, I was like, oh, it's okay, I don't have to do that because no one's doing that. And now it's back. It's like, oh God, I gotta do something. That's the thing that sucks. So it's like,
I had
it's,
that. I was legit depressed when everything opened up. I
oh,
had a
it's
great time.
tough.
I felt bad, but I had a great time during the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was like doing shows in parks in New York
Mm-hmm.
and hanging out with my friends in parks and biking around, no pressure. And then everything came back, and everyone was like, "It's gonna be the most lit summer ever," and I was like, "Okay, I'm ready." And then it opened up, and I was like, "Oh God, there's
This
just so much
sucks. So much
pressure to do
stuff.
stuff."
Right.
It took me. I was like, I don't know. It took me a couple weeks to get out of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I totally hear that. So your office is, they said, permanently you're
Permanently,
not.
man. I found out that my boss moved to Arizona, where we're headquartered, and
Whoa,
I didn't know about that. Like, we had a
whoa.
meeting, and I go, and he goes, "Oh man, I gotta run. It's lunchtime." I said, "Dude, it's like 3 o'clock, man. Why don't you just save for dinner?" He goes, "Oh no, it's 1 o'clock where I am at." And I go, "Where are you at?" He goes, "Oh, I'm in Arizona." So what? He goes, "Oh yeah, I moved to the headquarters." So, okay, so it's like they're consolidating, right?
Yeah.
They got rid of the entire call center, and they sent them over to the Philippines, and they're cut. There's the whole building's gone. The only thing that's there now is our warehouse. I do inside sales for this pool company, and it's like,
Wow.
wow, this sucks. Really sucks. So it's just, and then I do Uber part time. I do that, so that kind of breaks it up.
Yeah.
But
You can talk to
it
people.
does. Yeah, a little bit. Some people don't talk, but it's just, it is. It's tough. I mean, especially for you now. Now you're getting back out there. Now it's like, oh, where's the material? I mean, you're not going to do COVID stuff. That stuff has been done. No one wants to hear that word again. So it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, where are you right now as far as,
There's
material
still
goes? 30,
there's
45?
yeah. What's that?
I said, where are you at right now as far as new material goes? You got 30 minutes for, I mean, how much have you written?
Well, since like everything opened up, or
Yeah.
since
Since
COVID.
the lockdown till now, like getting back out there doing shows, do you have enough to get back out there and start doing that again?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got like almost a new headline,
Oh, that's great.
45.
New hour. Wow.
Yeah, 45, 40, around 40. But
Hmm.
I have like a lot of new stuff. It made me be really I started trying to be more
Open
personal.
up a little bit.
Yeah. it ended up being a good thing. I mean, I did a lot of shows in these parks when everything was closed, and then club's been open for a few months now, and
Yeah.
I actually been on tour a couple times.
Oh,
So
that's great.
I've been fully vaccinated for like 3.5 months,
Yeah, I got
and
mine in March.
I've
Yeah.
been working the whole time
Wow, that's
since.
crazy.
And before that, I was in those parks, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, all these park shows, comedy clubs are like putting on shows,
Rooftops.
right? And rooftops, yeah,
That's huge in New York. I mean, they do a
yeah,
lot of those. Do those work though? Because I know the outside thing, I guess it
yeah. They
could
work. They're
be
not as
difficult.
good. They're
No,
not as
because I
good.
know Nate talked
Yeah,
about it in his
yeah.
recent special, with the planes and the helicopters. I mean, it screws up your cadence, right? Like you have
Well,
to build that in.
it's not really the cadence. You can always adapt to something weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's the main thing is there's no ceiling, and laughter is contagious.
Right.
So people laugh more when they hear laughter,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
you hear less laughter when there is no ceiling. Every good comedy room has low ceilings,
Right. Right. Yeah.
and people are sat tightly together. And when people are like socially distanced and outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
it's tough to get a lot of momentum. You find that the people in the front
Mm-hmm.
are laughing, and the people in the back
Are there? They're just.
are having a good time, but they're watching it. They're at home watching TV. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you go see a funny movie in theater, which no one ever does anymore, but I don't know if you remember ever doing that. Seeing
Yeah.
a comedy in a theater is like so much more funny than when
Mm-hmm.
you'd be like, oh, I saw this crazy movie, it's so funny, blah blah, blah. And then you show your friends on like Netflix or
That
something,
was good.
and they're like, that's all right.
Yeah.
So it's like a very live humor is a very live thing for
Right.
humans.
Absolutely.
And like um it's just hard. It's not the ideal scenario being
Mm-hmm.
outdoors, but there are, like, I performed in like and there's like some places here that have like amphitheaters, like parks that have like
Oh,
built-in
that's nice. It's
amphitheaters.
perfect. Yeah.
And the sound, like, I remember, like, it was like, oh my, I would do those shows, like I would get to do those shows like once or twice a month, and
Mm-hmm.
I would look forward to them so much in the
Right.
pandemic because it like felt like an indoor, like a club.
Yeah.
You could feel the wall of sound go like,
Mm-hmm.
because it's built for sound going
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So what are the clubs you've been doing out in New York? Have you done the Cellar before?
Yeah, I was at the Cellar last night.
Oh, that's awesome. I've never been there.
I,
I mean, how have you been to Zany's Old Town in Chicago?
I have not been to Zany's. I've done the Laugh Factory in
Laugh
Chicago.
Factory. Wow. What's the Cellar like? Is it a small, tight room? I know they have two levels, right?
They got 4 rooms right
Four
now.
rooms. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but the original room is like what I described, like low ceilings,
Low ceilings.
tight,
Yeah, yeah. Wow,
sideways.
that's
It's great.
crazy. Yeah. Now, how
It's
do you
so good.
get? I question about that stuff. So it's like the Cellar. I mean, the whole idea of being passed. I know that's a thing, like at the Comedy Store, but other clubs, I've asked other people, and like saying, being passed doesn't secure you in necessarily to the other places like Laugh Factory in Hollywood. You get passed there. That doesn't necessarily mean, I guess, that you get spots at Chicago or the other places.
No.
Is that truly how that is now? Because I thought in the past that was more of the case, but now things seem to have changed.
No, I mean, if you are, I mean, if it's a chain,
Yeah.
if you're passed in the chain, then you're good. If it's just like Improvs, it has like a bunch of places.
Oh yeah,
Helium
the
has a bunch
bunch.
of
Yeah.
places. But they all have, but so usually if you're past there, you're good. But it's,
Hmm.
yeah, it's different. There's there's two different systems in comedy. There's the
Hmm.
road, and then there's in the city. So in the city, it's feature spots, which means it's 10 to 15 minute
Hmm.
sets.
Sure.
And that's when you get passed at a place.
Mm.
And those are not connected to any other club in the
Oh
world.
wow.
It's
Okay.
that place and nowhere, so you
Hmm.
get past there, nowhere else cares.
Wow.
Um, and when you go on the road, there's no like, I mean, there's no real like getting passed or not passed.
Hmm.
It's whether your agent can book you at that club or not.
Or not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, whether they want you or not, whether they like, you know. So like doing headlining work and see, when you go on the road, you're going to make more money, but you're not going to, it's
harder.
well, yeah, it's a lot of travel, and it's like you're not going to like you're not going to like necessarily grow as much as an artist.
Sure, right.
When you're in the city, like it's important to get all those spots because you're going to grow a lot as an artist, and if the better clubs you get into, the more like
it's going to be new faces. When you're on the road, the people coming to the show, they're coming to the show for you. You're not necessarily having people go, oh, let's check this out. You get that more in the city.
Yeah. But yeah, you in the city, you want to get past the best clubs because you want to be at the best gym, basically,
the best
around
workout
the best
room.
people, the best workout room. More you get more inspired by your peers who are better, and then also it's like, you know, you make friends that are successful being at the better clubs,
and then they lead you to other people who have done this. So then that's the way you build that.
Yeah, comics, like basically the main thing is that in show business is your agents don't ever really get you anything. It's your
peers. Is that the case, really?
It's your peers that get you stuff. Your agents can get you like...
They get you shows, right? Bookings?
They get you booking, little shows, but I mean like life-changing opportunities. It's your friends who get you that.
They all stem from you and your connections and relationships.
Yeah. Not being a weirdo.
Yeah, so...
you know, trying. Yeah.
Now, real quick is... Canada is obviously... Trudeau's got the clamps locked down over there. How has that been? Have you been able to go back home at all?
Yeah, I mean, I can go home because I'm a citizen.
Right. Oh, so they opened it up for you because of that? I mean, is there... Yeah,
always, the whole time.
Any trials and tribulations with doing that, though? Like right
now?
Yeah,
you got to quarantine.
Yeah.
When you cross the border, and they check you. They'll call to make sure that you haven't left the house. And
they're doing it the right way there.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think now they're loosening it, and so it's now I don't have to quarantine anymore because I'm vaccinated.
Sure.
So I can just go home and see my parents now if I want.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's great. And my girlfriend, who's American, should be able by the end of the month or early next month be able to come up without quarantining. She's vaccinated too.
Oh, wow.
That's cool. Yeah, so things are...
It's getting better.
Like patios are open now, finally there, but it's definitely was behind. They're slowly, they're like finally getting enough people vaccinated.
Yeah.
So,
you know, it is weird though, like how we have so many questions about this. Like people are I don't know why people just are doubting the science. Like when you have kids, like you bring the kids to the doctors and you get all vaccines. You don't even ask these questions. No questions asked. He's got to get a shot, so give him. But now it's like, I don't understand why it's so strange.
It's just there used to be stopgaps on who could be in media.
Right.
And it would be like literally smart people choosing other smart people. But now it's just like anyone can get on there. So you just have like a bunch of like really dumb people or really desperate maniacs who want attention and get money from the YouTube clicks. So we'll say anything. And you get this swirl of like people just saying anything, and and then you people get influenced, and it's really a shame because if you live in a bubble, like if you're just at home, like yourself, no one is outside talking to anybody. We're just all at home all day looking at a screen, and then the algorithm figures out what you want to click on, and it just reinforces whatever.
Then you're in a black hole,
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you don't have any peers that believe in science and just reasonable reasoning.
Right. It's crazy.
And there's like this like whole like Americans hate government, which one of the things that like was different when I moved here that I noticed culturally, Americans are very scared of the government. And even though like you elected them, but whatever, I get it. Okay, fine. I'm not gonna like just do whatever, just say whatever the leader says, for God's sakes. But
you gotta be a free thinker. You gotta have your own thoughts and opinions.
it's good to have to question leadership, whatever. But like Canada's like, yeah, science. Okay, cool. Follow the rules. And like we just started getting enough vaccines up there, and already we're past America with the amount of
It's
people
crazy.
because we're like what percentage wise,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like I don't yeah. We're less scared that the government is trying to insert chips in us
Sure.
and make
Yeah.
us magnetic.
Right.
It's the whole like, I don't understand. I have a healthy immune system.
Exactly.
What don't you get? It's not about you.
Right. It's about everyone, you selfish prick.
It's about helping your neighbor.
Right.
It's like people claim to be Christians and don't want to help their neighbor. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Or the
don't.
whole the one thing and that I never understood was the whole, oh, you don't go to church or you're going to hell. It's like there's so many people at church right now who are cheating on their wife, but they're there with their wife. You're gonna tell me that they're saints?
We could go down a whole rabbit hole.
Oh, it's crazy.
Things
Yeah,
that are wrong.
It's just crazy. Just crazy. But what's the schedule look like right now? Any shows coming up?
Oh, I'm doing. You can go to grahamkay.com. GRAHAMKAY. I got all my shows listed there. On the 15th and 17th. Wait, 15th. I'm going to be in Soul Joel's Comedy Club in Royersford, Pennsylvania, which is just outside Philadelphia.
Oh, wow.
And is that a no wow? Yeah, 15th and 17th, and then what am I doing? Yeah, I'm gonna be Denver Comedy Lounge, August 21st.
There you go.
Come see me in Denver Comedy Lounge. And then I got like a bunch of dates in October. I'm opening for Nate Bargatze.
Oh, that's cool.
All of October, I'm gonna be in Wisecrackers Comedy Club.
Interesting
I'm
name.
Wilkes-Barre. I'm gonna be all over. I got a bunch of dates.
I'll be sure to plug them all for you. You gonna be with Nate at the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee?
I don't know. It depends what date.
It's November 5th.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let me see. No,
No.
I won't.
All right, I'll be there. We'll see what happens. But hey, man, I appreciate you doing this, Graham.
Yeah. Check out. I have a autism awareness podcast.
Yes, awesome.
That's called Autastic.
Yeah, if you can, actually go ahead and talk a little bit about that too, so you can go ahead and kind of plug that as well.
Yeah, I got an autism awareness podcast. My brother has autism, like I said. My co-host has a nonverbal autistic son, and it's the Comedian's Guide to Autism. It's basically a podcast for like parents who have kids with autism, so they don't kill themselves. Let you know that everything's okay.
It's a dark description, but it was like the way you said it's like
it's a dark description to people who don't have autism in their life. Any parent, anybody who's got it in their life is like they get the joke. Right. They get it. But also, I got a new podcast with my buddy Robbie Slowick. It's called The Edgelords. It's a fake edgy podcast. We're like basically making fun of all the edgy podcasts out there. We got like a lot of really like big names on it.
Yeah, well, Nate was on it too, wasn't he?
Nate was on it, yeah.
That's great. Yeah. He's great. Well, hey, Graham, I really appreciate you doing this. You take care of yourself, man.
Thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it. Everyone, have fun. Stay safe. Keep your head up.
There you go. Graham K. Take care, man.
Bye.